I appreciate everybody letting me be a part of today's media session. Following Doc is like following Ronald Reagan. So I am here to talk about the Tampa 2 cover. Spent 3 years in Pittsburgh with Coach LeBeau as the coordinator of the Steelers, so I'll answer any questions about our defensive coverage for Saturday's game.
Have you ever seen a depth chart with so many oars on it as documents?
Yeah, there's more oars than the Ohio River has in the damn thing. So.
We quote you.
No. I thought this was off the record. Off the record. There's a lot more than damn oars in that damn river. I know that. So.
Your song, so to speak.
A lot of people thought about that after the end of the season last year. Thought I was sunk. You know what I mean? So. I came by, rose from the dead. But obviously, thrilled to be here. I was coming on with the start of classes yesterday, and an unusual, going on my 8th year as a head coach. You start a school year, you have such a better grip on your kids and your program than past before because of the opportunity we were afforded in August to go to Canada with this group. So the main purpose was to get the schedule out to everybody. One that obviously we've clearly challenged ourselves greatly, and we'll get into some of those specifics. Playing against 7 teams that played in the NCAA or NIT a year ago, 12 teams finished in the final 125 of the RPI this last year. I think we played 9 on paper going into last year at this time. So, and I think. To our staff's credit and to everybody involved in scheduling, we have secured what arguably is, in the first time in our basketball history, with the return games of South Carolina and Penn State in 14 and 15, 2 of, however you want to term, BCS, Superpower, whatever. I know 91, 92, someone referenced to me earlier. In all due respect, I think Penn State was one of those schools that returned. They did not play in a BCS level league in other than football. Football was different then. They did not play in it. So we have, and with the expected and anticipated increase in conference games next year, we're pretty much done with our schedule for next year already. We've got to plug in a couple names to some schools, to some games, but our outline is really, we have no room to add any more games on our schedule for next year. So some of the decisions late with the non-Division I games were a byproduct of what we have in place for the following year. When you balance out home and away, we could not start another series here this year where we would have to return a game next year to somebody else. So in a perfect world, we would have liked not to have played the non-Division I games, but they fit what we needed for this group in terms of the home and away makeup, not just for this year, but also for next year as well. And with the conference changing, we're adding teams that are coming off historic seasons in their respective leagues. Louisiana Tech, Middle, Charlotte, they're all playing at a high level coming into the conference. And we'll add Western a year from now, and we're fortunate to get them on our schedule one time only, coming to our place as part of the exempt event in November, right before Thanksgiving. So we're going to be tested greatly. I think our away-from-home schedule is really challenging. And our home schedule is good as well. Arkansas State and Western will be picked to win the Sun Belt. Wilmington we're familiar with, Buzz. And, good teams throughout the schedule. Go on the road. You play in Akron, who's been a juggernaut in the MAC. We'll start that back up after taking a year off in that series. The Nevada game will be next year. The return game will be the following year. And Vanderbilt in the SEC. It'd be a great venue to play in. My Charleston team played there one of my first 2 years at Charleston. Going to South Carolina, having them come to us. Going to Penn State, having them come back to us. It's great. West Virginia, obviously, every year. And a big Saturday night in the middle of December. Great timing, I think, for that game. So, Moorhead, so thrilled last year when we got that back on the schedule and renewing that long-standing rivalry of 90-plus times we've played. So a lot of tradition, a lot of history, and a lot of good things for us as we open up the school year. And again, I feel like we've got such a better grip on where we're at today because of the wonderful opportunity we were afforded earlier this summer and the advantages that we had taking that trip up there and the practices before it and the experiences through it. So I'm more than happy to answer any and all questions about scheduling, the schedule, Canada, anything else you want to ask personnel-wise. I'm more than happy to answer anything right now.
Coach, with so many changes in the offseason, bringing in new personnel, how much has that benefited you and your staff, being able to have that Canada trip to get a good look, almost a preview of your team for what you have coming up this season?
It was so invaluable. And obviously, we're so grateful to our administration, Dr. Koppman, Mike Hamrick in particular, for helping allow that to take place. And like I said, we had 10 great days of practice before we went, and we weren't at full strength for different reasons. Edmonds was not cleared medically to go. We left him home to rehab, and he's taking advantage of that. The Sene thing was a weird thing that kind of popped up right before we left. I have no problem with him getting cleared before we start our games, November or whatever. We just got to get some paperwork done back from Senegal. And Mbao was a little banged up coming off the knee surgery, and Thomas was not enrolled in school. But just it was an incredible opportunity for us, and we're changing a lot of things. Change has been a big word for us since last spring. Just everyone equates it to our personnel, but our style of play has changed. And our personnel has changed. So it was an invaluable opportunity for our staff to get a jump start, so to say, with our group, and vice versa, them for us. New guys all had to get terminology and, again, some things that were changing, both ends of the floor.
All right, I think some of the bigger schools, kind of like I think you've been doing, I noticed that a couple years ago you added Syracuse, and last year you had Villanova and Kentucky. Now you got Vanderbilt, Penn State, and South Carolina. You're just trying to build the schedule to be stronger and teach you guys how to play against how it was out.
Well, I said that when we came here. I said we wanted to play, have a national schedule, play the best teams we could play. And it's a challenging. I mean, we don't need to digress any more than I've already talked about in terms of the scheduling at Marshall and in a lot of places. We're not the only ones, but it's a big challenge for us, and it's a hard balancing act. And we've worked tirelessly. Mark Klein on my staff deserves a lot of credit. Jeff O'Malley from our administration. We all work hand in hand in trying to put together the best schedule possible each year. And it's like I said, we were laughing. Klein and I were laughing about how we really were. We've got a big board for scheduling in his office, and we have no room, in what's anticipated an increase to 18 at the minimum conference games next year. It takes two out of the equation.
Now you said Penn State would be your return game. South Carolina would be your return game. Would Vandy as well?
No, Vanderbilt's a one-time deal. We'll go down there.
But still, an SEC school, Big Ten school.
Never happened before.
Yeah. Coming in, I mean, what do you feel that speaks to in being able to make that agreement?
Well, I think I give those guys credit. Their coaches at the respective schools. Pat at Penn State and I know each other very well, and Frank and I are good friends at South Carolina. So I think that Frank's quote to me was, the South Carolina thing just kind of popped up, and we were trying to play them one time, maybe for a guarantee game, as opposed to Vanderbilt. Frank said, we need a good non-conference road game the following year, which would be so. We were thrilled with the opportunity, and we'll welcome them to the Henderson Center, obviously with open arms.
Before you all went to Canada, you talked about versatility a lot with this team, having these guys in different positions. How much did that really show in Canada?
No doubt. I mean, we were able to move guys around, as you saw. I think Steve did a great job trying to get stats and stuff to you all, and our minutes were so balanced. We played a lot of weird, unique, and maybe not even some probable lineups up there just to get guys minutes and rotations. But we're big on that. I don't think we only have but a couple guys, maybe 3 guys we think right now that can only play one position in our program. That's Cambola and Use at the center spot. That's really their only, and then really Kareem at the point is his true position. So everybody else is a multiple position guy. We wanted to change that. It's obviously a byproduct of some recruiting, and I think that's going to be reflective in our style. I think change is a good way to describe our program since last spring, and don't equate it just to personnel.
Was that a big reason to the style change?
Yeah, I mean, I've coached that way before. It's how we coached that. We played at Charleston and had success that way, and so you're smart enough to adjust to your personnel as well. And I really like our pieces. I like interchangeable parts, and makes it a lot more fun. Especially again the way we want to play. And when we kind of have at least a base foundation, we didn't get that in depth in terms of how we're, in terms of the press and how we're going to get extended in our defense, which will help create better offense for us. So.
Tom, with the Thursday-Saturday night, you've got pretty good swings there once you're into conference too. From San Antonio to El Paso, from Rice to Louisiana Tech, that works out pretty well.
Yeah, not bad. It's obviously something that's new to the conference. We were all, as coaches, when we met in Florida in the spring, we were all, not all of us were on board initially when we started talking about it. Then as the discussion unfolded, I think everyone became very committed to it. It just makes too much sense. I think you have more schools that are similar in their resources now than maybe we had before. So we had to make it a little bit more even. And I think it's good for our fans. I think it's now. All right, this Thursday and Saturday we're home. Okay, the following one we're gone. So that you can kind of block some things out. I think it's gonna be better for us academically. And I think as I said earlier, a lot of we try to make decisions that are in the best interest for our program, but also our fans deserve. I'm so happy for our fans. They deserve South Carolina and Penn States to be on our campus. I'm happy for them as well. They deserve that as well. We got a great fan base, and so some of those decisions that you make and things that you try to put in place are with that in mind.
Tom, is the team here that everybody will overlook on the home schedule? Stephen F. Austin,
Yeah, they were really good. I think you can look through a lot of teams on our I think Arkansas State's going to be really, really good. They went up to the western part of Canada, up in the Vancouver area. I think went 3-0 up there. John Brady, the former coach at LSU, is the coach at Arkansas State. But Stephen F. Austin was a team that had a great year last year. New coach, Brad Underwood, who was an assistant at South Carolina. I've known Brad for a long time. He'll do a great job there. I just think you got quality teams again throughout. You know what I mean? And with our group, we've got to gain experience, go through experiences to gain experience, and we'll find that out obviously with our exhibition and right into the South Carolina State game as we open up the regular season.
How long before, you mentioned Edmonds earlier, how long before he's able to?
He's much closer to full go. There's so much. Again, the word change comes up. The NCAA change. We open up regular practice Friday, September 27th. It's our first official day of practice under the new rules, guidelines of the NCAA. So, he's moving forward to being fully cleared. We anticipate him probably around that time or beginning of October to have full clearance, no restrictions. And Tom does done a great job with that. Tom Belmaggio, our trainer, and we got some other guys just dinged up off the trip that have to get back to full strength as well. Nothing too serious, just some wear and tear stuff.
When, if ever, does Ohio get back on the schedule?
I don't know if we have room.
Where do you feel Chris's skill set fits best?
Who's that?
Chris Thomas's skill set. Where do you feel it fits?
Well, he's very talented. Obviously, Chris is enrolled, a full-time student here, started classes with everybody else, as we said all along. So we're thrilled to have him. It's still early in the process of getting, you're basing some of the evaluations off some of the JUCO games you saw or AAU stuff, so that's not really fair. Chris has to adjust to us. We're not adjusting to Chris. We've got a lot of things in place, and he obviously is a talented young man. He's going to have to shake some rust off. He had not been with us this summer. He worked out back home and finished up some school, but he was in Denver playing some stuff out there. But he's so excited for the opportunity to be here. He's thankful for the opportunity, and he's gonna. He's got to fit. And the transition I think has been seamless the last couple of days, just being around our kids, and we've got a great group of guys that have embraced him. But it's way too early to figure out what his impact will be or won't be. We're thrilled to have him, but he'll have to catch up to us. In terms of that.
West Virginia this year's on Saturday. Thoughts about the specific day?
Yeah, it's jumped around now, but the thing is, a Saturday night, middle of December. You're coming off probably a good time as obviously there's being a first one of the move to being a first semester game. I think that fits better because we're kind of on the heels of regular football season, and so hopefully we'll have another great crowd there. And obviously we recognize it's a great rivalry. It's a great night for basketball in the state of West Virginia.
Coach, you get those big schools you talk about with Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Arkansas State, right before you go into conference schedule. How do you feel those are going to prepare your team for conference?
Yeah, everything you do, you build it up. And Woody talked about the Thursday, Saturday in conference. Well, I scheduled Thursday, Saturday, Vanderbilt at Penn State, and some of that was done by to help us prepare. There's a couple other opportunities early in the season when we're home with only one day between. So you got to get your kids acclimated to that type of a scenario, and I think we've done that with our scheduling. So, we've got, the balancing act of trying to, balance what teams you play where is really hard to do. And, we have a tough stretch there. I think we go at Vandy, at Penn State, take the break and play WVU in 3-game stretch. And I think on the heels of going to East Tennessee State prior to that. So we got a lot of balancing act that we've got to accomplish in the schedule. But I thought overall it was I think it speaks a lot for where our program is headed and the excitement we have for this group in particular as we move forward. I'm sorry? Yeah, it's as far as I know, everybody's playing the conference schedule, so they all should have a chance to go to the conference tournament. I think that's we talked about that. If a team's going to play 16 conference games, they should have the opportunity to go play in the conference tournament, and that was again another topic of discussion at the coaches' meetings. And thankfully, the athletic directors and administrators passed that through for us.
You a fan of going to 18 next year?
I'm a fan of playing more conference games. We all complain and about being able to getting non-conference games at every place. A lot of other schools in our league have the same struggles we do, and some more than us. So, one of the few ways I know is increase your conference games. You're getting the same amount of home and away games as everybody else. And so, right now the number's 18. We've been led to believe 18. That has not been voted on, has not been passed, but that is what we are at least hoping for as we move forward. And I'm in favor of that. Yes, and I think Mike is as well.